Welcome to Fostering Solutions, a podcast that uplifts people and enterprises making positive impact in communities around the world. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Foster. Welcome to Fostering Solutions. I am Dr. Michelle Foster, and I have the pleasure of having today as my guest, Don Wilson, or to be, more precise, Don Tiaco Wilson.
That's right, Don Tiaco.
Your full government name, right?
Yep, Don Tiaco.
Okay, it's great to have you here with us today. And, we continue on this journey of leadership. Really, I've been, really scouring the people I know and inviting leaders to really share, what made them who they are. So thank you for saying yes to being a guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay. So go ahead and tell the audience, who is Don Wilson? Tell the audience about yourself.
Well, my name's Don Wilson, Don Tiaco Erlante Wilson, to be exact. The grandson of a Jamaican immigrant that moved here from Jamaica to Jamaica, Queens. And that's my grandfather. I'm named after Don Leonard Wilson. Okay. And my namesake. So I'm a business owner. I'm a dad. Have become a community leader of sort. Through no fault of my own, I guess. And just somebody that has been an entrepreneur my entire life. Started my first businesses at 21 and haven't stopped starting businesses since. I'm the owner of Capital Insurance Group, and more importantly, I'm a native of Charleston's West Side, and I love the West Side of Charleston.
Best side, as they say.
Yes, right? No question. My grandfather actually taught math at Stonewall, so he taught a lot of the West Side kids, and I ran into one of his former students today, Charles Price. So yeah, definitely a West Sider through and through. Couldn't be more proud to be from the West Side of Charleston.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you're you own an insurance company. You're actually officially, I guess your title is managing partner of one of the larger insurance companies in Charleston. So what inspired you to, launch your own insurance firm?
Yeah, so I own insurance agencies throughout the country now, 15 offices in 12 states. Midwest.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Midwest headquarters is in Columbus. Our Southern headquarters is in Nashville. Obviously here in Charleston, the hub, and then we have offices up north in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Southfield, Michigan. So the thing that inspired me most was probably my mother. My mom owned a small business. She did interior decoration. It was called Corner Creations. Okay. And I was in the first grade when she first opened that, and kind of learned the entrepreneurship and what it meant to be your own boss at a really early age. She had that from my age, probably 6 to my age 8. So the beginning of my first grade year to the end of my probably second grade year, early third grade year. So I learned a lot. My dad built the cabinets and the countertops. It was a real family business. So, and that was probably my first, endeavor in the small business ownership. And I'm a big proponent, and people always know me from my theory on proximity to success. The closer you are to someone successful, the easier it is to be successful because it becomes reality in your eyes. If you can touch it, you can be it. And if you can see it, you can believe it. And so my mom was a huge inspiration. She was an entrepreneur, opened her own business, did interior decoration. She also did these cool fan things that people would use at their weddings instead of bouquets. It was really cool business. And, that was probably my biggest inspiration. I always wanted to own my own business. I knew that from an early age. Mm-hmm. I was really into fashion, like best dressed and all that stuff.
Okay. Wearing Jordans. I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah. I'm big into fashion. So my dream, even though I was a journalism major when I first went to college, my dream was always, Reverend Dante Jackson was the first person to hear it. I had a dream to own a clothing store, and was fortunate enough to do that. Yeah.
Awesome. So was that your first independent business venture then?
Clothing store? My first business was in 2003. I launched Reflections Clothing, which was formerly named Urban Legend. We changed it to Reflections Clothing. Me and two cousins, one on each side of my family, started a retail clothing business. And my competitive nature, we had two locations. We had one in the Huntington Mall, and then we had one, super funny that it was next door to where my office is now. So we own the clothing for where the Bully Trap is now.
Okay.
We had a small retail location there, and we actually got to hang out with some really cool people. Like during that time, I hung out with Russell Simmons and Jay-Z and Beyonce and P. Diddy. So I met all those people that are super early. I mean, I'm talking 23, 24 years old. I'm rubbing elbows with fashion's elite, And it really, what it did for me, anything, is it told me I belonged, and it didn't make anybody too big for me to be able to meet or do business with, because if you're 23 years old, brokering deals with Jay-Z, through his clothing line, or, meeting all these super celebrities, it really gives you some self-confidence that you belong in the business world. But
that's where it came from.
Yeah.
That early exposure. So being proximate, and there's a Brian Stevenson, one of the guy, one of the famous advocacy for people with for people involved in the criminal justice system. He always, one of his recommendations is to really get proximate. Get close to, whatever it is you're trying to change. So absolutely. Right. So why insurance? So you started off in clothing and you watched your parents do their thing. How did you end up in the insurance business?
Yeah, so I never, and I don't think I speak at schools all the time, whether I guest lecture at Ohio State or Marshall, or even like Westside Middle or Westside Elementary. Nobody ever raises their hand when I say who wants to be an insurance agent when they grow up. Even the ones whose dads, like my two kids, J-Man, my son, he kind of hints at it. My daughter's like, nobody want to work there. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't pick it. I didn't really, it kind of chose me. I had my clothing business, Reflections, and I did some research. When I closed those businesses back in 2007, I believe, when I got rid of my businesses and got out clean and all that stuff, I did some research on who should have helped me do my business efforts. Most people think it's a CPA. Most people think it's something else, right? And CPAs do a great job, and I'm blessed to have an amazing one. But what they don't do is the pre-planning a lot of the time, And what I found out is it was insurance agents. So I immediately started interviewing with New York Life and Northwestern Mutual, because I found out that mutual insurance companies were like the best career path, back in 2007. And interviewed with both of them at the same time. One of them turned me off. I went with the other and started into this insurance and financial services world that I knew nothing about. Yeah.
Okay. So if you kind of focus on the on your insurance entrepreneurial activities, how do you, because you were working for a company, now you own your own firm, you're managing partner. So describe what that trajectory was like and what obstacles did you have to overcome, if any?
Right. So it really, for me, it goes back to the fashion industry, right? I created a principle called apprenticeship before ownership. And I truly believe that.
Apprenticeship before ownership. Okay.
Before ownership, yeah, because the reason my clothing company was so successful is I ran the Buckle for 3.5 years as the manager of the Buckle. I had to manage their budget, I had to manage margins, I had to figure out what worked, what didn't work. All those things that a business owner would do, I did with someone else's money for 3.5 years. I learned that clothing business, right? So I came up with that principle that if I was ever to own my own insurance agency, I wouldn't go right from clothing into insurance. So I knew in the back of my mind that one day, even though I had started insurance, didn't know much about it, I said, if this is going to be my career, I want to own my own agency at some point. So my first 4 years, I was with a mutual insurance company, Fortune 500 company, huge budget. They flew me around the country. I was the top producer, as far as most policies written. And they would fly me to New York, Philadelphia, or Dallas and give me all this training that I could never afford to do on my own.
Mm-hmm.
But I was learning. I was apprenticing under them. And then after about 4.5 years, I left that company and went to a large local firm, right? Mm-hmm. And that large local firm taught me community grassroots stuff that the other firm did not teach me, right? But I was still learning using someone else's money, okay? Right. Learning this industry. And then I did that for 6.5 years. So almost 11 years into the insurance industry before I started my own insurance agency, following my principle of apprenticeship before ownership. Mm-hmm. And, I knew in 2007 that one day, if this was going to be my career, that I wanted to own my own, right? I didn't know. I wanted to call it Wilson Financial, and I wanted to do financial advising and wealth management. I didn't see it as property and casualty because I didn't have a property and casualty license, home and auto insurance. For people that don't know what that is, I didn't have that license until I'd been in the financial services world for over 4 years. But I knew in the back of my mind that I had to build up that equity, right? 1, build my brand. 2, build my clientele. 3, build my reputation before I could strike out on my own. I had to know the margins of this business. I had to know the rules of engagement.
You have to know your numbers, right?
Yeah. Exactly. The numbers are key. And then knowing who to surround yourself with, a competent CPA, competent attorney, all that stuff that you need to have, in order for you to operate a successful financial services firm. And, back in 2017, we launched Capital Insurance Group February 1st of 2017. And, in 4.5 years to grow to 15 locations in 12 states is unprecedented,
amazing
in the insurance industry. And so what we've been lucky enough is, I knew the business through and through. I knew how much revenue per employee that you needed before you started hiring people, and didn't hire anybody at a, salary until we hit that number so that our margins and our numbers could be correct. So it was that principle of apprenticeship before ownership. I tell people, learn your industry before you try to own in that industry. Even if you're doing a franchise like a Subway, if you've worked at one of those types of places prior to, it's a lot easier to start your own sub place or your own sandwich shop because you see the day-to-day operation. You'll know the seasonal activities and you'll know your competition, your highs and lows, your do's and don'ts.
Awesome. So what challenges did you have to overcome? Because that was a very sharp uptick in location. So what challenges was it all, smooth sailing? I don't know, but what did you have to overcome for that kind of quick growth, that steep growth?
Right. Well, there was a lot of challenges. One, I had built this brand, but there's a thing called a non-compete in our business. I was lucky enough that I didn't have one, but a lot of my clients were already tied to the particular insurance carrier that I had already written their insurance with. That's a challenge. So contacts, budget, right? Do you have enough money to contact all the people that you need to and get your word out? I was lucky that social media existed. I couldn't imagine doing this without social media. But just manpower, a big one for me in this industry, the demographics and the lack of diversity around the country, right? I'm one of, very few African American or Black.
Even around the country, not just Charleston.
Around the country.
Wow.
I'm the only, I'm pretty sure I'm the only in West Virginia, but around the country, where I talk to nationwide of the world and the Grangers of the world and the, all states of the world, and they're dying for diversity. And I'm bringing it to them. I'm hiring a diverse work staff, based on talent, and trying to give more opportunities to Blacks in this industry because we do such a great job in it. But as an owner, it's pretty rare. So overcoming those hurdles, it's really, I've really been embraced. So I've been really fortunate. But learning those things. Getting the carriers was a huge obstacle as well. I mean, like carrier relationship, because as an agency rep, as an agent for an agency, you never talk to the higher ups at these insurance carriers. So knowing that jargon and what to say, I was really blessed that I had 2 advocates in my corner. A guy by the name of Kurt Keller, who's been a huge help to my insurance business. And then another agency owner by the name of Michael Black, who reached out to me and let me know the ropes, showed me the ropes, and opened some doors for me. So, but it was tough at first. Those first 90 days at the Wilson household, it was a little touch and go, but we've done really well through it. I'm a fan of the lows because they teach me how to, appreciate those highs that you receive from hard work.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're clearly a leader from a young age. I mean, starting your business at 21, that's amazing. And I believe that leaders are made, that they aren't, you don't have to be a born leader, you can learn.
Right.
And it's really about skills and attitudes and behaviors. So what did you have to learn? And when you kind of reflect on your life since you were 21, what did you have to learn or adopt in order to successfully lead, whether it was your clothing business or now your insurance business?
Yeah, a few things for me. One is patience. Adopting that model of being patient. And also, me pretty well, Doc. Knowing when not to talk. Which can be tough for me because I'm one of people say I'm a people person. People that are people persons don't have to tell anybody. I'm one of those people. I never had to say in an interview, I'm a people person. People know I'm a people person as soon as they meet me. So knowing when
never
not
met
to
a
talk.
stranger. You never met a stranger.
Never. So knowing when not to talk, when not to play my hand. When people ask me how things are going, and I kind of learned that when I ran for office. I ran for office in 2016, the year before I started the business. People go, Matt Sutton taught me that. Like, how are things going? Man, better than expected. Better than expected. I didn't know how things were going, but better than expected was always my answer because Matt said, never play your hand. Never tell people exactly where you're at in anything because you're going to give away something that helps you get to where you're at. So I always tell people, we're doing great, man. We're just creating jobs. We're doing better than we thought we would. Learning those principles, right? The patient side of it, that things aren't going to happen right away. A huge thing for me too was learning that, I'm a real passionate, wear my heart on my sleeve kind of guy, and I'm all in on Capital Insurance Group. Understanding the fact that my staff and my employees, this isn't their life. This is my life. CIG is my make or break. It is not their make or break. They may or may not find another job at some point, and this is not their make or break lifelong thing, and realizing that they're not going to be as passionate about my thing because they have their own thing. And so learning to embrace the personal development of my staff versus the professional development of my staff. And the more that I focus on their personal development, the more they'll help me develop my professional development, and the more open they are to professional development for me, if I care about their personal stuff, so understanding that part was really tough for me. I always do the analogy of how bad a coach Michael Jordan would be or Kobe Bryant, because they're so intense. As soon as another guy laughs about a mess up, they would go crazy, because they're such intense competitors. I'm very similar when it comes to business. I am intense, and I realize that. So taking myself out of roles that I think and I know that I could do better than one of my staff, but allowing them to flourish in it. Oh man, it's been such a huge growth for our business. I call our employees the exponents, because they allow us 2 to the 8th power, 2 to the 12th power is a lot more powerful than 2 to the 1st power. And so understanding that there are people out there better than me at stuff that I'm going to come across, but allowing them to flourish in that role has been a huge factor in the growth of my business.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Just coming to that self-awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. It is tough though. It's that discovery of that you can't be all things to all people and be amazing at all things can be tough, especially for somebody like me, But it's been a rewarding thing watching these staff members and these people get their licenses and grow and develop without me, being there to hold their hand, and it really makes our business that much better.
Do they become more dedicated as a result of that? Do you see an increase in their dedication?
Yes, it is routine.
Doing that.
It is routine. I mean, it is routine. I promise you. Last Friday, I had to leave the office early to do inspections and stuff on homes, and I promise you, they clocked out we closed we're open 10 hours a week longer than every other insurance agency. 8 to 6, Monday through Friday, right? Which is, an hour early and an hour late. I kid you not, without me asking, they were here till 6:47 on a Friday.
Wow.
On a Friday.
Whoa.
On a Friday. Yes.
That is dedication right there.
The ownership that they take in their roles is so, it's really cool to see the more I get out of the way. And I've also noticed, and it kind of stinks to say, I've also noticed that the production is higher when I either close my door in my office or I go once a week, myself and my VP, Chris Spangler, we go up to Lewisburg just to clear our minds. We'll go up there and do some prospecting, or we'll just grab lunch, or we'll meet people or meet with realtors, whatever it is. But it gets me out of the office and out of their way every week, that day, whatever day it is, typically Wednesday, whatever day it is, I'm telling my staff, like, sales like crazy. I mean, because I'm out of the way. I'm not in their way. So I tell them, I deliberately sometimes will come in the office for the first time at noon or 1 o'clock. And then I won't say anything. I am a fist bumper every time I come in. We got handshakes and stuff like that. Right. Me and the staff do. So, but yeah, I try to stay out of their way as much as possible because it empowers them to be great on their own.
Okay, wonderful. So you mentioned a couple of guys who helped to open some doors for you.
Yeah.
What coaching have you received? Have you received any coaching on your journey, and how did it impact your business outcomes?
Yeah, I always tell people 2008, I went to Dallas with New York Life, the company I started my career with. And it changed my life. It changed my career. I was in Dallas. A couple of things happened. There was this huge conference with all the top 75 agents in that quarter that started at a certain period of time. So you're talking about agents from all over the country, right? And there was a guy named Tim Fitzgerald there who's a huge agent. I mean, multi-million-dollar agent out of Mississippi who runs the Tim Fitzgerald Group, who I said, I want to be like that guy one day. I want to own my own agency. I look at his website once a week. I just, everything.
Talking.
yeah. Like, I want to do that one day. And then there was a guy by the name of Dr. Randy Marshall. If anybody that knows me, like in this industry, knows I love Dr. Randy Marshall. He told me a couple things that day. He told me one thing. He was a professional baseball player, and he was George Brett's backup, right? And he said that George Brett one year batted like 347, led the American League in batting. And he goes, "What do you think George Brett was working on the first day of spring training the next year?" And everybody guessed. And it was like, man, it was fielding. It was this, it was that. And Dr. Randy Marshall, no, it was batting. He worked on his swing again. He wanted to perfect his swing. He wanted to be the best hitter possible. And specialization is one thing. Be known for one thing before you pivot to another thing. Like when people see me, and you know this as well as anybody, when people see me, they think of insurance. Yeah. When you see Don Wilson, you think of insurance. And I wanted that to happen. I wanted my name to be synonymous with my industry. The other thing that Dr. Randy Marshall told me that day, this is the part that really changed my life. He said, people in this business get confused two words, goals and desires. He said, a goal is something that you alone can control. A desire takes action from someone else. So I changed my goal from 100 sales a month to 250 calls. So the action leads to the outcome, as opposed to looking at the outcome. Look at the action that you alone can control and nothing else. So I would call people and they would hang up on me and I go, man, thank you. Or they yell at me and I say, thank you, have a great day. You know what you just did? You just helped me accomplish my goal of 250 calls. I don't care what was said on the other line. I'm getting the 250 calls, and guess what happened? If I made 250 calls in a day, I would sell 30 or 40 policies that week because I looked at the goal and the action versus the result. So we do that here at CIG. We don't, sales goal is an oxymoron. And I guarantee every other agency around the country is talking about sales goals. When a sale takes action from someone else, it's a desire. So we stop worrying about the outcomes that we can't control on our own. And I never look at my competition's websites or Facebook pages. I only concern myself with the actions of CIG and what we can control by ourselves.
Okay, that's good. So your goals are what You can
You alone can
control,
control.
and
Yep.
desires are what you need someone else's
Yep. Yep.
input to that.
Yep.
That's
It takes action from someone else. The goal is something
action
you
from
alone
someone
can
else.
do.
Yeah.
A desire takes action from someone else. So a sale is a
Awesome.
desire. But what you do on a sales call, right, when you're presenting, you have your 4 or 5 points. If you hit your 4 or 5 points and they don't buy, you did your job. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
You can control that. Absolutely.
Yep. Control your presentation. You can't control the sales part.
Right, right. You can't control how someone else responds, but you can control what that's profound, Don.
Appreciate it.
Lots of good nuggets here. So based on your experience, what are some keys to effective leadership?
Yeah.
Based on what you've, what
Yeah. Key one is give and take. You have to take a long look in the mirror at what you've done, right? So anytime we just did this last week with our entire sales team. The last thing we always ask is, what can I do? What could our team, our leadership team here do to help you be more effective, right? So understanding that you play an active role in the failure and the successes of everyone based on your output, right? If I come in, I walk in, my energy, right, first and foremost, has to be high every day, no matter what my mood is when I walk in the building. And I promise you not, no matter what mood I'm in, I fist bump the first 2 people. Justin and I have a secret handshake that we do. Mike and I have a secret handshake that we do. I fist bump Carly and the rest of the team, and I'm high energy. Then I may come back to my office and exhale, man, it's been a tough morning up there. But I never let my team see me down. I equate my job here a lot like Nick Saban. You know what I'm saying? I'm a recruiter. You know what I'm saying? I want to recruit the most 5 stars as possible. But I have to also be worthy of 5 stars, right? So knowing that part, right? And my 5-star program, the CIG of 5-star business, right? We can't recruit 5-star recruits and 5-star talent if we're not winning championships, right? Just like Alabama gets all the top athletes because they win so much. So I have learned, the key thing is being reflective, knowing that one, the things that I do lead to the things that my team does, right? So they're going to be a reflection of me and my energy and my ability, right? So making sure, one, I'm always professional and dressed in my CIG gear, so that they follow suit and do the same thing. 2, making sure that I'm punctual, right? And being a lead by example type of person. That's what I do. I try to lead by example, doing little things. I answer the phones. I have a rule though. And if I answer the phone and you get me as a client, you get a gift card every time. Because I rarely answer the phone. But if I answer the phone, that's the rule. If Don answers the phone, Don sends out a gift card, And so it's really just being upbeat, knowing that my energy affects everyone else's energy, and making sure that I'm always on my game so that my team can be on their game.
Awesome. Those are good ones. So so now you started back in 2017, was it?
Right.
How many people do you have on your team now?
It fluctuates between 18 and 20.
18 to 20.
20. Yeah. We have our headquarters here that fluctuates between 12 and 15. And then we have satellite agents around the country.
Okay. Yeah. Good. So what do you know now that you wished you knew when you first started Capital?
Well,
what do you know now? It's 4.5 years, but a lot has happened.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Including a pandemic, right?
Yeah. For me, it would be, making sure that everything is in writing, right? I had some, stuff with my business, that changed and ownership stuff, and making sure that you have everything in writing in proper order before you start your business, right? Before you start the business.
Right, okay.
Hiring a competent attorney, having an ironclad business partner and partnership agreement would be important for any business. And then making sure that you have a competent CPA. I didn't know how effective my CPA and how big a part my CPA playing my business. But I mean, she acts as essentially my CFO, and if I didn't have that CPA, you heard all the time, people getting in tax trouble and stuff like that.
Right.
We've avoided those pitfalls. I didn't realize how important it was, having those professional advisors. I didn't have an attorney when I started the business. Now we have an attorney on retainer as a result of the different changes that happened with our company in 2019. And, so making sure that you have all your ducks in a row, right? We incorporated, we did all that stuff. I did that, but making sure that you got the partnership agreement and those lines and expectations of each person involved in the business are clearly and concisely laid out prior to starting the business, or you shouldn't start it. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So what's next that you can share? I don't want you to give away your secrets. What's next for Capital Insurance Group?
Yeah, so more expansion. I just personally got a residence in Columbus. I'm going to be living part-time in Columbus and part-time in Charleston, but not too part-time, like 85-15. So a couple days a week in Columbus. We are expanding the Columbus headquarters, the Midwest headquarters, a ton. The Charleston headquarters are still rolling. We had 2 people start their first day today. So that's still going. So I have no fears. West Virginia will always be a West Virginia company. We just signed a deal 2 weeks ago for 4 new locations in North Carolina. So Greensboro and Charlotte, and Durham, and some other places in North Carolina. We're working on another deal with a group out of Ohio to open up 6 offices by first quarter 2022 in Ohio. 6 new offices. So we'll probably, if we did this interview in 4.5 more years, I would say we'd have about 35 to 40 locations around the country. It's just, and we're getting more digital. You'll see a lot of client-facing things. We did launch a mobile app recently. So more digital stuff, client-facing stuff, automations and integrations, trying to keep up with the Silicon Valley takeover of our industry so that we can give our clients
so is the industry growing that much that there's demand for that many offices?
Well, it is for us. So we have some proprietary things that I created that allow us, to kind of dominate a market. Yeah, we broke records with Progressive. Like Progressive is the 3rd largest insurer in the country. We reached platinum silver status faster than any agency in the history of their company. And we became the first company in West Virginia to do that, in the history of West Virginia. So, with Progressive. And so we are uniquely positioned for a number of reasons to just grow. And quite frankly, I don't want to give away too much stuff, but 10% of people change their insurance every year anyway. Regardless, even if they're happy, 10% turns over. So with that in mind, as we grow, we want to just capture, 1.5 to 2% of that 10% in a number of markets. And we have the software and the people and the carriers to do so.
Right. And I guess the sky's the limit because you're selling just kind of explain how the insurance market works, because you're selling policies from others, right?
So we are a full service agent, right? So and we work with the large companies, so Nationwide, Allstate, Liberty, Progressive, Encova. We work with all these different carriers. We're the middleman. We basically play matchmaker, right? You bring your information to us. We collect that information, and we have experts that know within like 2 or 3 carriers. Then we have 100 carriers, right? Typically for any one person, is 17 to 21 carriers that you would get a quote from us, that we would do a quote for you for. Okay. But our experts, through our training and through our software, based on your answers to our questionnaire, which is pretty extensive, we know within like 3 to 4 carriers which carrier is going to be the best fit for you. So it allows us to cut down on the quote time. And then we've created another software that allows us to reshop your insurance every 2 years, to keep your pricing down and things of that nature. We focus on marketing and keeping our clients happy. We're at 4.9 out of 5 on Google. And so,
awesome.
Right. With more reviews than companies that started 25, 30 years ago.
Wow.
Right.
That's amazing.
Right.
Thank you so much, Don. It was great talking with you and got a lot of nuggets. I got to remember, a lot of the knowledge that you dropped here. So thank you so much for making time to talk about leadership.
I appreciate you having me. I'm truly honored.